Hello! Today I'm going to be looking at what's in this very exciting box from ImmersionRC, but just before we get into that, a quick reminder, please like or dislike this video if you don't like it, comment down below, don't forget to subscribe, and if you can find that little bell icon, click on it, and it might tell you when I'm uploading stuff, but that depends on what YouTube's feeling like this week. It's the ImmersionRC Ghost system, the very long range 2.4 system, which I was very interested in. I have to send out massive thanks to Catch22 Mania, who has lent me this. I did beg Tony Cake at ImmersionRC if I could get hold of one of these for review, but he decided not to answer me. So yeah, thanks very much to Catch22 Mania, who was ordering this as a spare to get more receivers, and he said I could keep hold of it for a while, give it a try before I passed it on to him. So thanks very much there. Anyway, let's dive in and see what we've got here. This is one of the sort of the multi-packs you can buy. So what you get in here is the transmitter module and 3 of the receivers. And the module looks like this. It's a JR type unit. It's this little control-y thing and a screen there. It's got 2 of these antennas in the box, which look like that. You then have, in this particular box, 3 of the receivers and 3 of, well, some wire, a heat shrink, and a tiny little sort of dipole. Let's actually get one of these out because they are so tiny you would not believe it. This is called the 24G Atto receiver. To put it into perspective, here is a micro SD card, here is the Atto receiver. It's crazy small, absolutely mental. Obviously it's got some connections here for S-Bus and the like. You can also do 4 channels of PWM for it if you want to. And there's a little UFL connector to put one of these little dipole things on. That's all I know so far. I wanted to get it straight out of the box, show you what it was like. There's no instructions with it. These are being developed online at the moment, so I'm going to go through the ImmersionRC site, have a look what's there and see what I need to do. Then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to test this. Obviously I could just shove it on a quad or a plane, but I wanted to do some extra testing to see just how it did in certain environments. So I might think about different ways I can test it, sort of being on foot and seeing how far I can get away from my radio and bits like that. Anyway, join me in a second and we'll try that. Okay, well here's the little receiver in a bit more detail, and we've got the pin wise, we've got ground, 5 volts, signal, and this T at the top is telemetry, where amongst other things you can plug that into a tramp and you can control your VTX through there. There's the little UFL connector, LED and a bind button. Over here, aside from the fact you can solder each way, we've got 4 connectors here, and 3 and 4 work as PWM connectors. So if you put this into PWM, normally of course you'd have ground, 5 volt and signal for your S-Bus or whatever protocol you decide to use. In PWM it becomes PWM 1, 2 and 3 and 4 is 3 and 4. So I'm not sure what 1 and 2 do. Now these should come where they will try and bind automatically. So with that in mind, I have one here ready to go, and I'm going to use this in PWM. And what I've done, I've connected a signal wire very messily to a servo here for testing, and I've just got the ground and 5 volts coming out of the back of this ESC here. So that's one thing to test once we get the radio. Now as far as the radio goes, I upgraded to version 2310, which is the first thing to implement the Ghost protocol as far as the radio goes. So basically you will be able to select Ghost, and then you've got a channel range, and a lot of the stuff happens on the back. As you see there, you've got a whole display here, really easy to look at actually, and we've got bind mode, all that sort of gubbins. And in bind we've got like a whole bunch here: Proto PWM, S-Bus fast, SR-LX2, S-Bus inverted. Mode wise we've got the type of RF mode where it's like go to race, pure race, long range, which loses telemetry because we haven't got telemetry there. TX type auto, instead of looking at the manual thing about what protocol you're going to use, it will sort that in the bind. And you've got your region between the US, EU, I think that's Australia, international. Spectrum analyzer, which will be able to look at your noise floor, and you can set the TX power here. It's set to auto at the moment. If we change that, this is basically micro mode, going all the way up to
well, I say all the way up, 1 milliwatt, 25, 100, 200, 350 is the max at the moment, and that is like tiny amounts. And then it's your fail-safe, but I guess we'll do the bind first. So I want to bind this as proto PWM, so I guess I plug this guy in first. To do that, I'm going to need this 3S battery, and we've got a little, we can see this, it's showing a blue LED, which is really hard to see under these lights, but honestly it's blue. I don't know what that means, I haven't checked, so I'm just going to go in here and say start bind. Bind complete. Wowzers, that was quick. And yeah, I don't have to press any buttons. It's now gone to green, turning lights down, like so. And what I want to see, because this is now in PWM, in my channel 4 we can now see we have a servo here. Now what I want to do is set up a servo test mode in the radio, so I can leave the radio in my room, walk up the road, and basically have this move like that. Now, since I recorded the intro, my buddy William, who lent me this, his TX in his original has gone a bit wrong, so he needs this one back this week. So originally I was going to have this till January, so what I'm going to just be able to do is hopefully just do this test with the servo to at least check the range and get the general feel for it. So not quite as much as I hope to do, but I think it's more important we get this back to him so he can carry on flying. But at least it gives us a chance to do a test with this and to gather the sort of range we're looking at and the sort of sensitivity of the receiver. So let's do that next. I'll just have to walk around looking a bit weird like this. Okay, welcome to the desk, which is a bit messy. We've got the servo hooked up, and what I've done, I've just created a little well, logical switch to 60, so when I hit this you see that the servo carries on going back and forth. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to walk down the road. You should be able to see that we've got, well, I've set the power, I thought, to 350 milliwatts. It says 25 dBm there. I don't know if that's significant. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the radio up here, like so. Now this is obviously upstairs, but looking out the window there, you see we've got like houses everywhere, and I'm going to basically walk up the road over here and see how far I can get, really. And if we get a problem, we should see the servo start to stutter. So let's check it out. Okay, so I'm going to try and measure distance on the watch at the moment. That's my room up there. And we're going to head out along there, see what happens. Okay, so we're only about 250 metres, but already my house is back around there, around the corner, so there's houses in the way. We're at the corner here now, so I'm going to go around here and put all these extra houses in between me. I'll see what happens. So this is going around the corner, you see we got more and more houses getting in our way, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. So in terms of walking, and I will check the distance and shove it up on the screen somewhere, but yeah, it's still working, not far away, but there's just so many houses between me and my house now. It's like tens of them, so it's doing quite well to get through still. We've got basically a hill coming up, so if we can go down into that dip, it'd be interesting. Yeah, we broke it going into this dip. It's getting, well, now it's getting a signal again. It's losing it sometimes. Yeah, it's gone there. So we're right at the limit there, having gone down into this dip. If we go back up a bit, well, something seems to drift because my house is now about 50 metres away and we've still got no signal. We've got the red and blue LEDs, which I have to check it out. So we should go take a look at the radio, see what's happening.
Inactivity alarm.
Is that the problem? It's gone into an inactivity alarm, so it's not doing anything now. So I wonder if I just, for example,
inactivity alarm,
waggled this stick, which has nothing to do with anything. Nope. It's still showing the same LEDs. What's going on the back here? Clearly not connected, but you can see we're putting the servo out. I'm interested to know which way it's gone.
So let's reboot the radio.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Well, the servo recentered when we rebooted, so there's definitely power there. Oh, now the servo, now this has been rebooted, we've got a green light. And that's happy again. That's curious. Why is it gone a bit weird and funny like that?
So yeah, what we had there is a failsafe in which it wouldn't recover until we rebooted the receiver. Now I went on and I did some more testing. I did film it, but it was all a bit messy, even messier than here on the desk. And what I found is a small failsafe, like a couple of seconds, sort of the micro failsafe you might get in the field, that recovered no problem. If the failsafe was longer, sort of beyond about 40 seconds to a minute, then it wouldn't recover. You might say that's a bit of a strange case. Would you ever get a situation of which you lost signal for that long? And the answer is, yeah, maybe. Maybe if you were doing a mission and flying far away, you'd lose signal, and when it came back, you'd have no signal, and you'd just watch your craft circling around and around for maybe 40 minutes before it crashed in front of you because you couldn't get the radio back. Or perhaps if you were flying a quad, you were doing a bando, you crashed, and because it was sort of there behind thick concrete, you may have lost the signal. You've lost the ability to use that signal on your radio to try and help find that quad again. So the next thing I did is I went on to the ImmersionRC Hub on Facebook, which is really their sort of main point of contact, it seems, to see if anybody had had this. And happily enough, Pavel Spikowski, who is an iNav developer, a friend of LDO, been on the show a bunch of times, had the exact same thing the day before. And he was doing it via powering down the radio and then powering it back up a minute later, and you couldn't get reconnection to the receiver. So I put my little thing in there, and hopefully they'll fix that up. I'm a little bit surprised though. I mean, it might be because in my previous roles I've worked in system verification testing, which involves, among other things, trying to stress the load of whatever you're testing to such a point that errors are going to occur. And it didn't really occur to me that we were in the real stress loading yet. I wanted to push it out as far as I could to see where the failure would be, but I was quite surprised that I could catch that and it hadn't been caught already, because it's a pretty obvious thing to go far away, fail safe, come back again. Presumably in their sort of functional testing that they must have been doing, it's kind of like fail, come back, but they never sort of push those timings out. So I'm no way trying to say it's a bad system, or from what I've seen of it so far, it looks really good. I really like the little screen in the back and the amount of information you get there. It's really nice. It's already been integrated into OpenTX. It's not, well, the specific protocols aren't into Betaflight yet, so you can't use the very fastest stuff. You can see these like S-Bus and stuff, obviously, but that should be coming, so that's really nicely done. And of course, these tiny receivers are really amazing. They're so small, and the size of the little dipole compared to the likes of, you know, the R9 or Crossfire is so tiny. That is really good. I guess what I'm trying to say here on my shortened video is when you're buying something brand new, which hasn't been out very long, you just need to be prepared that the actual unit you've got may not have finished in development. Of course, the base functionality is there, but places like ImmersionRC, Team Black Sheep, in FPV they're big companies. In real terms though, they're quite small. They don't have massive teams of people testing this stuff. So that's when it falls upon the consumer to sort of report back any bugs, and they'll fix it. And IRC have been pretty good at fixing up stuff. Although I'm still bitter about the fact I can't use my original old ImmersionRC 600mW VTXs on rapid fire. They still don't work. I don't think they'll ever be fixed. I've just had to go around changing them. That aside, I think what they need though is more people really doing critical testing and doing the stress testing. It's all very well to go into a field and say, look, I can fly a kilometre and my quad reacts really nicely. That's base function. When you need to stress these things to the point of them being under pressure, that's when the sort of bugs come out, and that's when we find it. But that's my takeaway for the day. Looks really good, but just be aware that when you're getting into the game early, there may be bugs in there still which need to be fixed up. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful. I hope to play with it again in the future. Until next time, bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.